But they were hearing me saying, I praise God for the pain that I experienced today. And I thank him. That's why Ephesians 5:20 is so memorable to me, and I could never forget it. It's because he wants us to walk circumspectly in our service to him, in our walk with him. But it's not always a walk of joy, even in pain. That's why he says, giving him all thanks, always, in all things. Give him thanks in all things. That includes all the pains that we experience every day, all the difficulties that we have experienced every day, the joys that we experience every day. We have to give thanks to God. I am very happy to be here with you. The reason why I would like to share with you my experience is not to share with you the pains, but of course, part of our testimonies and our experiences are pains and difficulties and hardships. But as our reading had said, I would just like us to focus on verse 20, giving thanks always for all things. God wants us to walk circumspectly, not as unwise people. And that walking with God is not always easy. It involves drooling, it involves pains, it involves difficulties. So the purpose of this testimony this evening is for you to know what had happened in the past year. People who are in line now, thank you, who are spreading some kind of, we kept this a secret, my wife and I, and except of the few of you who had joined us and who have known what is going on with me. We kept this from the Filipino community, but there were some groups in the Filipino community who had sent emails around asking for prayers because Rene Ballenas is sick. He has prostate enlargement and stage 4 cancer. So I don't want to respond to that email and tell them what is really going on. But if there are some people who would ask you, I would like you to tell them what you hear from me tonight. Since early of 2022, I have this feeling of shortness of breath when I walk 2 blocks away. And I did not understand why I was having that. I consulted with my nephew. One of the tests he gave me was that ultrasound of the abdomen. And with that, of course, all the inside and all the inner organs will be seen in there. And out of that ultrasound, there was a result of chronic kidney disease. That was in March. And in June, I was planning to go home and made some consultation, and maybe, I could deflect myself from being down by this particular problem. So June, as you know already, I was sharing you, June, I went home the whole week of June, the whole month of June, and I came back here July. When I consulted with urologists, nephrologists, my nephrologist was saying to me, there are 2 suggestions I would like to make to you. One is shorten your vacation here in the Philippines and go home and have yourself go through dialysis. And I said to myself, I am here not for vacation, I'm here for consultation. But at the same time, I was having some kind of flare-ups with my gout. And my gout has really crippled me. And I thank Dr. Greg Agulan for allowing me to stay at the condominium. But I was staying there alone and no food supply. It's because I was not thinking that I would not be able to stand and come out and buy some foods. I only have tatlong piling ng saging. 3 big, how do you call that in English? Lot of bananas. And for the next 5 days that I was not able to walk at that particular apartment, at that particular condominium, I was just eating banana one at a time, one at a time. And I was drinking a lot of water. But here's one thing. When I go to the bathroom, if you are familiar with Dr. Greg's place, just 2 steps away from the bed is already the bathroom. But that was the longest and the most painful 3 steps in my life. In 7 days, I always have the same experience. I always have the same experience. I was shouting, I was yelling, I was just to express the pains that I have. And then, thank God, I was able to come home to the US, and I'm just doing some kind of datings here. In November, I had the flare up again, but I was having some kind of troubles with my breathing. I called 911, and that 911 had responded, 2 ambulances, 4 paramedics, and right away checked my blood pressure. My blood pressure was 251. I could never forget that. 251 over 118. And they asked me to take some captopril and 81 milligrams of aspirin. And I was brought to the hospital, and I stayed there for 5 days. But then I had the flare up. It's the same thing. I could not walk. I could not stand up the bed and even use the bathroom. So I had to use all the professional people who were with me at that particular time. And then when I was in the hospital, a nephrologist visited me. It's because they have seen some kind of high numbers on my creatinine, and all of these figures are giving an alarm. But he checked my lungs, he checked my heart, he checked if I was having some kind of fluids in my body. Of course they were, but something that would create some kind of a swelling on my feet, on my face, on anywhere in a part of my body, or my lungs is already some kind of fluid. He did not see anything. We did not have anything. And then he assured me that November, he assured me, oh, don't you worry, there is no urgency for you to go through dialysis. And I said, wow, praise the Lord. I thank God. So that means I can still go on with my vacation, planning for this, for our convention in the Philippines, scheduled for February 4. And so I was actively planning with Archbishop Soria, with our officers there, Bishop Inahe, with Bishop Mazo, and Bishop Lalo. We were planning those conventions at that particular time. And I was very happy that I could go home to the Philippines. At that particular time, January came. I had to use the wheelchair. I had to ask for a wheelchair to go to the plane, from the plane to where somebody would pick me up. We attended a wedding at, again, the Oro. One of my foster sons, who is a major in the Army. And he was expecting me, actually me and my wife, to join them at that particular time. So we went there. My wife was not around, but my mom, of course, when I say mommy, my mom, Nida Cortez, was with me. He was watching me, according to her. He was watching me every time I lay down my bed. He was watching me if still my belly is expanding. It's a sign of my breathing. But I was in pain. I really was in pain, but I just carried myself through. We were able to finish our convention in the Philippines. And my gratitude goes to Archbishop Soria, Bishop Maso, Bishop Inahe, Bishop Lalo, and the rest of those 75 people who had attended at that particular time. There were lots of them who were ordained at that particular time. And before I forget, I would like to request Bishop Inahe and Archbishop Soria to make follow-up on those members that we have. We would like to see them next time when we have the opportunity. Bishop Lalo, Bishop Inahi, my children, and Pastor Ann visited me in the hospital because I thought that blood transfusion would be able to help me. It helped me just for a short time, but I stayed in the hospital for 2 days, and I got those visits from our brothers and sisters, and I really am very thankful. Every time I feel down and I feel the pain, and when somebody visits me or even calls me, I always believe that Jesus Christ is the one visiting me. That's the reason why I find that courage and I find that encouragement and inspiration from brothers and sisters who spent their times with me anywhere I am, as I am recalling the verse in the Bible that Jesus Christ said, "When I was in prison, you visited me. When I was hungry, you fed me. When I was thirsty, you gave me drink." And I was encouraged. I was very happy. I have some pictures to show you, but I don't know how to upload them on our system. But I'm going to share it with our chat room later. When I came back here March 24, I was not feeling that better, I guess. I was not feeling better. My wife was with me, and there were times that she was panicking. You know how you feel when the person you love is worrying so much about your condition? That's what I saw with my wife. And it pained me to see her that way. And I wish there's something that I could do about it. I could not do anything about it. She was trying to feed me. She was trying to ask me what I wanted to eat. She was cooking what I wanted to say, what I wanted to eat. You know, at that particular time, since I came back from the Philippines, I lost about 16 pounds. It's because despite the foods that were served to me, only 2 tablespoons that I could eat and I could swallow. And I have this high hydrochloric acid in me, and I keep on vomiting. You know, those ladies who have experienced being pregnant in the first few months of your pregnancy, you would have that morning sickness. And I had that. I was vomiting, but I have nothing to vomit. It's because I only eat 2 spoonfuls of food. And even the water, I could not drink because the water tastes so strange and so different. I was trying to just carry myself, attending virtual meetings, but I really was not feeling very well. Dr. Greg was inviting me for lunch oftentimes, but I would say no. If I was feeling better, he would not ask me a question. I would even call him and say to him, "Oh, I'd like to eat something. Can you please feed me?" That's the kind of relationship I have with him. And he became very busy, and because there were so many things that were going on. And so every morning when I use the bathroom, it's only about 20 steps to the bathroom, 20 steps back to my sofa where I was laying down. It's because I could not sleep at our bed. And so on the 20th of April, I led in our church. We have our morning devotional every morning. That was Thursday, April 20. I finished to lead out the devotional that morning. And then I was using the bathroom, and I walked 20 steps because I walked slowly, and then I walked back 20 steps. But when I went back to my sofa, I started to feel that I was feeling drowning. I could not breathe. I really was, and I was still in pain because my gout was flaring up. I could not do anything. So I called my wife, who was in California. I was raising my voice, asking her to please call 911. But she was saying to me, Papa, I could not call 911 here. So I dropped the phone right away without even saying goodbye or I love you. I called the concierge in my building and I asked Jay to please call 911. Then after that, I called Bishop Baldassar just to feel the comfort that somebody was with me at that particular time. I was crying, not because I was scared. I was crying because of the pain that I was feeling, and that kind of feeling that you breathe, but your breathing could not even satisfy your lungs because my hemoglobin was very, very low. My supply of oxygen to my red blood cells are very, very low. And I was asking Bishop Baldassar, please stay with me. And I was very happy that she was staying with me. She was trying to comfort me in any kind of words that he could tell me at that particular time. And I requested him to stay with me until the paramedics would come. And he stayed with me. He promised that he's going to go after the ambulance so that he could be with me at the hospital. It started there. When I arrived at about 11 o'clock in the morning at the hospital, at the ER, they started to check all my blood pressure was 200/98, and they took all this test that was needed. X-ray 2 times, angiogram 3 times, and from the ER, I was brought to the ICU, critical care unit. And when I was there, the nephrologist and the surgeon were there, and they were telling me, Mr. Ballenas, we have to draw a line in you now. It's because your numbers are so alarming. My creatinine was 14. Supposedly, it's the normal range is from 0.8 to 1.2. And at that particular time, they were saying, we were wondering, we don't see any kind of manifestations in you. We don't see any kind of swellings, even in your lungs and all that, but your creatinine is too high, and your uric acid is high, and your BUN, some kind of test that reveals that my kidney was not really functioning well. And so at that particular moment that they see the surgeon poke a line here for an immediate dialysis. So starting April 21 this year, I started my dialysis. And with that, they said to me, they were talking about dialysis, what do you want to do, how do you want it? And they gave me option. They had given me option of peritoneal dialysis that I could do it at home. I don't have to go to some clinics for hemodialysis. And I said I would do peritoneal dialysis. The following day, I was brought to the ER, and then they put a line on me, on my tummy. I could show you when you come and visit me, but not here, I guess. On my tummy, and then the following day, they had started the education for peritoneal dialysis so that I could. But still, I was doing the dialysis here at the hospital because I stayed in the hospital for 8 days. And during my stay in the hospital, my legs were under the compressors because I could not really move. I could not walk. I could not stand. I could not use the bathroom. And I could not sleep in the evening. I could not sleep in the daytime because I have lots of loving people who would come and visited me and prayed for me and asked me how I was. Bishop Baldassar, I would like to say thank you to you for you had spent so many nights not only bringing me foods, but bringing me prayers. I really am thankful to you. I'm thankful to Dr. Greg, who prayed over, because even though he was that busy, but he spent time with me. Dr. Alston, thank you so much for calling and for asking how I was. And thank you for your prayers. I got visits from several doctors, several nurses who were not employed at the hospital. I got visits from one of our sisters here, who is a judge of the Metropolitan Trial Court here in Jersey City. Of course, that's Dr. Jackson. I have seen, as I've said, I have seen and I have been visited by Jesus Christ himself through those loving people who would spend their times with me, praying for me and praising God with me. When I went out on the 27th of April, I was directed to go to home therapies for my peritoneal. I had my line here. And then when I was in that particular experience, I was educated. I was trained on how to do it. Thank you so much, Bishop Ballenas. Thank you for the love. First day, I was, if you're familiar with the peritoneal dialysis, there is that 2-liter bags of fluids, and that would be brought into your system, into your body, through the line that was given to me. And then with that line that I had, it would about 15 minutes or 20 minutes of filling, they call it, and then dwelling for 2 hours, and then another 20 minutes of draining. Those are the process that we have. First day, I feel okay. Second day, I feel okay. But pain that I have because of my gout flare, it really was not helping me. But I'm telling you, the most excruciating and the most painful, the excruciating pain that I experience is every time that I have this flare of the gout. But I could not walk. There were even times that I could not feel that I still had my 2 legs connected in my body. Bishop Balthasar, I have requested him to sleep with me at my house when I was discharged on the 27th. It's because I needed somebody to hold on to just in case. I need somebody at that particular time. And his wife and him were very gracious, and I thank him for that. On the 3rd day of my peritoneal dialysis, that's where I started another excruciating pain, more painful than the gout that I experienced. More painful, because there was a line, I guess, it shifted within me. And then, have you tried using a power hose, and the water just rushing too much, and then put it in your skin, especially when you have some kind of an open wound? And that kind of pain I experienced at that particular time, while these 2 liters were processed into my body. And my nurse was saying, "Oh, it's just normal. There were lots of people who experienced that." And I said, "Okay, I'll take that from you. I'll take your words for it." And then after 2 hours, it started the draining. At the start of the draining, it was more painful than the filling that I've had. The 2 liters that were put in inside me, the doctor has instructed, just take out 500 out of 2 liters. That was 2,000 milliliters. So out of 2,000, instead of taking out the 2,000, only 500 were authorized. It's because I was really in pain. But I said to myself, I'm going to let out of those 2 liters that were put in my body at that particular day. And then just work with me. I told my nurse, just work with me. I am going to make sure that this would be taken out. But when I say that it's very painful, I could carry, I could suffer the pain, I could take the pain, but if I could not take it, you have to stop the machine. So the 20 minutes of draining, it went to 2 hours. In that 2 hours, I just relaxed a little, but the pain was so much. And I could not explain the pain. My tears were out, and my nurse was hugging me at some point just to comfort me. But they were hearing me saying, I praise God for the pain that I experienced today, and I thank Him. That's why Ephesians 5:20 is so memorable to me, and I could never forget it. It's because He wants us to walk circumspectly in our service to Him, in our walk with Him. But it's not always a walk of joy, even in pain. That's why He says, giving Him all thanks, always, in all things. Give Him thanks in all things. That includes all the pains that we experience every day, all the difficulties that we have experienced every day, the joys that we experience every day. We have to give thanks to God because He desires us to do so. Brothers and sisters, after 3 days being discharged from the hospital at that particular time, I was instructed to go back to the ER. So I was out on the 27th. After 5 days. May 2, I was brought back to the ER. And then the following day, I was brought to the OR again. Because of the anesthesia, I don't know if that is the reason. I have some kind of lapses sometimes. I could not follow through with with my flow of thought, but the experiences that I've had is so much that I expressed so much pain to God. It brought me to tears, but it brought me in communication with my dear God. Oftentimes, I thank Him for everything that He's done for me. Today, I'm going through with my dialysis. I don't have a cancer, brothers and sisters. I only have CKD. So when some people would ask you about what is going on, kindly tell them that I don't have cancer. I only have CKD. And God has really used His power to help me out on this particular journey. I don't know what will happen in the near future. I was asked, my name was submitted for some kidney transplant, and the Hackensack University Hospital is closely working with me on it. But these, I just considered interruptions in my life. They should never stop me from doing what I do. I still love to go back to the Philippines and do our ministries there with Archbishop Sori and Bishop Pinahi and Bishop Lalo and Bishop Mas. The reason why I chose the Peritoneal, it's because I could spend 2 weeks in the Philippines, and then they can forward my supplies there, and machine I can bring, and I can do it myself on night time. So brothers and sisters, today, I'm so thankful. I'm not 100% back to my normal self. I have 2 holes in my body right now. One is in my chest, that directly connected with my heart for hemodialysis. It's because my peritoneal catheter is not working. And then on my belly, there is that hose or catheter that we're trying to revive and work and have it work so that I can do my peritoneal dialysis. I don't want to miss Bishop and I don't want to miss the beauty of the Tanay ministry that we have. I want to go home there. I want to spend some time with our brothers and sisters there. So my dear brothers and sisters, God is asking us to walk circumspectly, not as unwise persons. Unwise people, it's because they just are thankful and happy and serve God when they are happy and they're comfortable. But God doesn't work that way. He wants us to work with Him and for Him, despite of our situations in life. You might be happy, you might be sad, you might be carrying the burdens. There might be some interruptions in your life, as I've had. But I promise you this, brothers and sisters, I'm not saying that I'm better than you. I am a human being. I still keep in touch with my being human, my being emotional. I cry often to the Lord, but that crying out is not because I am sorry for myself. I am sorry that I have this experience now. I'm not sorry because of my experience right now and even my situation. I am crying to the Lord. It's because I want Him to know that I am always thankful despite of my particular experience in life. Brothers and sisters, I invite you to always give thanks to God despite of your situations in life. Let's be faithful in doing what He wants us to do. Let us be faithful. Let us be respectful for one another as we work together and as we come together. That is what is going on with me, brothers and sisters. I don't want you to hear it from anyone that might be incomplete or that might be wrong and misinformation. So when there are some of our brothers who would ask about my situation, you can tell them. You have my permission to share it with them and tell them how the Lord has brought me personally, had brought me and had carried me through despite the most painful experiences of my life. Thank you so much for your prayers, and thank you so much for praying for me. And I am very happy that there were lots of people whom I called, and because when I missing a voice to pray with me and to pray for me, I would call people to pray for me. And most of the time it's Bishop Ballenas that I call for. We talk for 45 minutes or even 1 hour, and then I would request him. Let us continue to pray for one another. Let us continue to work with one another. We are not here to judge over one another. We are not here to criticize one another, but we are here to love. We are here to work together. I don't know if you believe this, but with the pains that I had experienced, I was always begging that Christ would come anytime to relieve me from the pains and the difficulties. But it's not for me to dictate Him. It's not for us to dictate Him. It is for Him to allow us to experience interruptions and see how faithful are we with Him. God bless you all, and may you will continue to work with us every Sunday. Please continue on to pray for one another. God bless you.